Welcome back. You heard Drew Mickelgard discuss the new FedRAMP roadmap a moment ago. Government IT leaders say the point of the new roadmap is not to have new guidance, it's to make cloud computing more secure. David Kubicki is Solution Architect Manager for Federal at Palo Alto Networks. At the Carasoft ATO and Cloud Security Summit, he tells me several important factors exist around securing cloud environments.
One of the ones I like to focus on is it's not always a technology problem. I think it's very much a human problem. And what I mean by that is that there's this push and pull as far as aligning priorities between security organizations and their development organizations. And I like to use the analogy, everybody wants to go home at 5. And most of us in IT don't get to go home quite that early all the time. But the priorities of the developer and the priorities of the security professional are a lot different. The developer wants to get that latest update, release, fix, whatever the case is out, right? And wants to do it in a way that's not impeding their goaling, right? So that they can get home at 5. And a lot of times they view security as that gate, but let's be honest, security is supposed to be a barrier. It's supposed to be a gate, right? But how can we make it so that it's easier? So if you use the lock and the door analogy, I have a nice, code that I can get through that makes it easier because I don't have to have a key or whatever the case is, right? So how can I make it more frictionless so that everybody can get what they want? That security professional can go home at 5 because they know that they're adhering to compliance frameworks, to government or governance, kind of capabilities, that they're burning down the issues that they're seeing within their environment, and then how can that developer release that code most efficiently and have that information so that they can be releasing that most secure code. So that's the human problem that I'm mentioning. And then secondarily, I think it's not falling into the same trap that we have maybe historically of throwing a point tool at something. Having a platform-based approach provides much better security. And also provides you the visibility to look at a workload regardless of the modality of that workload, where it might reside or where it is in its application lifecycle, and provide that visibility. And that visibility across the entire spectrum of the lifecycle allows you to respond and remediate in a much more efficient manner. Mm-hmm. So if you have that information, that security personnel can keep up with the application velocity that you see increasing in most environments, and remediate very quickly.
I think it's interesting that you went to the security and developer tension rather than the security and end user tension that a lot of agencies talk about.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's especially prevalent. We just released a recent cloud security threat report, and one of the things that I thought was most interesting was that the majority of the respondents wanted something easier for security and not easier for development, which is kind of alluding to that kind of mismatch of priorities, right? I would advocate that it should be easier for both. And you should provide that information to developers and the tools that they're most accustomed to using, and also provide that visibility to security so that they can do the activities that they need within their line of work.
We have about a minute left, David. How does one measure for success in this area? How does one know that one is on the right track to getting to the end state, which is not compliance or complying with governance? It's securing systems and making sure that the systems and the data are secure.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll be honest with you, I think it depends. I also think that the North Star as far as success is moving or constantly shifting, especially as organizations start to move more into the cloud, or start to get into refactoring as opposed to lifting and shifting, or to start developing in more cloud native kind of methodologies, it will shift. So depending on where you are in your journey, in a lift and shift kind of world, you might just want visibility, or that would be the thing that you would want to do, right? And as you start to move more into cloud native development, refactoring, then you can start getting into the shifting left kind of conversation that I'm sure everybody is aware of, but also making sure that you're shielding right as well. So I think that idea of success is constantly moving, which unfortunately in IT that's usually the norm. But I think ultimately, making sure you're investing in technology that allows to grow with you is arguably maybe one of the keys to success.
David Kubicki of Palo Alto Networks. You can read more about securing the cloud on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com. Up next, the roadmap for tomorrow for FedRAMP. FedGov Today with Francis Rose continues in a moment.